Hi, it's Natasha.
And Khalil.
And we are the co-hosts of
WokeNFree.
Thank you for tuning in to our 223rd episode of WokeNFree. If you've been tuning in every week for WokeNFree Wednesday, you know that WokeNFree is all about being real and honest with each other and you. We talk about everything and anything important to us, you, the world, and nothing is off the table. This week, we're asking the following question. Who is really planning for their retirement? But before we dive deep into the subject, a couple of things to go over. First, have you gone to WokeNFree.com to download the episode and do that through the Podbean app so that you can add your comments? And why do you want to put your comments? Because that's how you're able to join the conversation every single WokeNFree Wednesday. So now if you listen to podcasts on devices where for some reason you can't download another app, then all we ask is you go to WokeNFree.com, you go onto the listen tab, and then you can follow and subscribe to the show on places like iTunes or TuneIn or Stitcher, Google Play. Obviously, subscribe to our YouTube channel, SoundCloud, iHeartRadio, Spotify, Pandora. It's a WokeNFree world, guys. Now, also on WokeNFree.com, we ask that you click and subscribe to follow the show at the top of the page. And when it comes to social media, you can always find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, Pinterest, LinkedIn at WokeNFree. And lastly, if you have 90 seconds, you got 90 seconds, guys. Please review the show. So pick your platform of choice where you'd like to review podcasts. We, have 5-star reviews on iTunes. I think we could get some more. What do you think? Go to WokeNFree.com, go to the listen tab, and review away. I kick it to you now.
All right. Well, before we start the conversation, we'd like to share a little bit about ourselves. This week, we're asking, would you rather get lost in New York or Los Angeles?
So being that I'm born and raised in Manhattan, I would always rather get lost in the city from where I'm from because I have some frame of reference as to where I'm going. As much as I'm excited and titillated, really, at the idea of visiting LA, being lost in LA sounds like a nightmare. So New York is my choice. How about you?
Okay. My choice is definitely LA because I've never been there. Okay. And it's like it forces you to explore because it's a place you don't know, you're not familiar with, and that to me is more exciting than the place that I've already been around. And maybe there's like little pockets you can discover in the place you've already been, but
definitely. The
new place is like, it's a whole other adventure. So I definitely would go with LA. I don't even have to think about planning it, right?
Okay.
And just like this episode, who is really planning for their retirement.
Very nice transition. So with that, I found some really great information on Attituity.org that goes into retirement stats that I think the WokeNFree audience needs to hear about. So when you look at retirement and gender, some interesting information to know. Women's average total retirement savings in the United States is just $57,000, where men's average total retirement savings is $118,000. And then the amount of women who have more than $250,000 saved, 24% is 45% less than the amount of men with the same amount saved, which is 35%. So gender, women to females, it looks like men are doing better job at retirement than women, which doesn't really surprise me.
That makes sense.
Yeah, and then another interesting stat was, and there's a lot, guys, so if you're new to WokeNFree, all of our links will be available in the episode on WokeNFree.com. Another stat I thought was interesting is a third, 33% of women have no retirement strategy. And of those women who do have a retirement strategy, just 24% have it written down. So really not so looking good for women when it comes to retirement. Now,
even though it's in their head, that you don't think that's a good thing, I guess.
No, we have to write things down. We have to really, make it a solidified plan here. Now, when you look at retirement with race, only 61% of Hispanic Americans and 64% of Black Americans have some retirement savings compared to 80% of white Americans.
Wow.
So people of color are not planning in the same regard as our Caucasian counterparts, so that's challenging. And just 22% of Hispanic Americans and 29% of Black Americans report that their retirement savings are on track. versus 43% of white Americans who report the same. And then another thing that I thought was interesting is about 51% of Black families and about 55% of Hispanic families, middle-aged and older, own their primary residence versus 73% of white families, meaning that
that makes sense.
We are not owning to the same degree as our Caucasian counterparts, which means that we're not really creating generational wealth in a way that we should be to set up the next generation. So it doesn't. That goes back to
America's past, though. That's
systemic,
very understandable.
Systemic racism definitely plays a part there. So that's interesting. Now, when you look at retirement and savings, kind of looking at some interesting stats there, 48% of workers believe they don't make enough money to adequately save for retirement. That's depressing. 43% of workers guess how much they need to retire rather than basing it on current expenses, 38%, or using a retirement calculator, 25%. And then when it comes to some millennials, 70% of millennials, which we fall within that category, are stressed and anxious about saving for retirement, which seems sad. And a majority of millennial investors, 81%, already have a strategy to protect themselves from outliving their savings. And then when you look at Gen Z is investing in retirement at a higher rate than millennials did at the same age. Nearly 16% of Gen Z participate in a 401k with an average balance of $4,500. Only 11.4% of millennials had a 401k with an average of balance of $2,000 at the same age. So there's a lot of things to kind of unpack in that article. Exactly. Our son couldn't agree more. And with that, I think I'm going to kick it to you to kind of share some additional things. And I was there anything else? No, I think those were the majority of the stats I wanted to share, but we definitely can share some more in the episode, as well as some interesting graphics that I saw. Okay.
So I actually saw an episode on this Netflix show called Money Explained, and it's a series. I think they have like 3 or 4 episodes that just go over different money things. So they had one episode that was dedicated to retirement. And I thought that all the episodes were interesting, but I like how they broke down retirement. They actually gave like a visual of how people kind of think of it. And they say retirement's like a 3-legged stool. Mm-hmm. You have your personal savings as one leg, mm-hmm. your pension / 401k is another leg, and then Social Security is your third leg of retirement. Mm-hmm. And this is supposed to support you after you stop working.
Yeah.
But actually, there's a fourth leg to the stool that makes it more sturdy, and that's what a lot of people actually rely on, and it's actually family and friends. Oh, so people are relying on, their friends and family to help support them in retirement rather than just, earn enough money for them to survive without working. And then they also talked about, there was a period before retirement was even a thing. Retirement it actually only came about because they started building out like retirement homes for people with like excess wealth. Mm. So then retirement became a thing. But before, people used to work their same job until they died. That was just how it was. You didn't stop working. There was no such thing as retirement.
Wow.
But yeah, it kind of like changed in the U.S. once people had extra money. I think it was the 40s or 50s. It might have been the 50s. I forgot the year.
Kind of alluded to it, but ultimately then why is retirement planning so important for anyone listening who isn't already thinking about it? Break it down.
Well, I think the big thing to think about is that as most people get older, you don't really have that same vigor that you used to have. So you're doing this, most jobs that you do, it takes some level of energy, right? You're not just snoozing unless that's your job to test out mattresses. And even if you do, you'd have to write about it, right? So there's a lot that might be hard for a senior citizen to do. To like rest in this bed and then write about it.
Okay, but
I'm just saying though, it's going to take some more energy, and you might just say, "Hey, I did this for this so and so many years. I want to like relax. I want to go and
not necessarily have to work so hard for every dollar."
Yeah, I don't want to take it as hard as I used to. I'm not trying to be ageist. I'm just looking at science.
You are listening to WokeNFree.
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 WokeNFree. A podcast that keeps it real and honest.
Okay, sir. Well,
That's all I'm saying.
There's some interesting points mentioned on ICICI. Wait a minute. Frugal Life.
I see you. You see me. You're trying to make a new song? Okay. All right.
I shouldn't have
That's
laughed.
a kid's
That's
lullaby.
terrible.
Yeah, you're making a kid's lullaby. That's a good one. I like it.
And you'll find all the links on WokeNFree.com, but essentially they speak to kind of what you talked about, which is the idea that at some point you're going to stop working. So who and what is supporting you? Ideally, you'd want to look to self, not others, to guarantee that you have what you need to live out your life how you want. And then also, with rising inflation and things like that, ultimately you have to prepare for not just having what things cost now, but what's it going to cost in 20 years from now and 30 years from now. So there's several factors, but I think independence, quality of life, as well as just autonomy and, making sure that you're cared for, because life is, it's not just when you're, young and fun, but I really want to make sure that you can age gracefully and respectfully as you want.
Oh, wow.
Now, with that, any retirement planning advice that you'd like to share?
Yeah, the biggest takeaway is that you're going to actually need more money than you expect. That's the funny thing. People don't realize. You think, what I make now is pretty good, so I'll just take that when I retire. But technically, you need more because you got to look at the cost of inflation and and costs of goods going up, because the salary you're earning now is not going to be enough for when you're older. And
exactly, our son
he has to
couldn't
say something
agree
about it.
More. Was that right, KJ? Exactly.
And then a good tip to try to figure out how much you need is just envision your lifestyle in your older age. Think about what you want to do. You may even not actually want to retire, but you take a hobby that you have maybe and make that your new job, or take a side hustle and say, this is what I'm going to do full time now, instead of this whatever work you were doing before that. You're just doing it to kind of make a paycheck. Maybe just make your side hustle that you really enjoy, make that your new job. So that's, those are some things to think about.
Exactly. KJ agrees. I like this. So now a couple of points that I saw that were interesting on nationwide.com. They spoke to what you said, expect to spend more. Definitely things are going to cost more. In addition to expecting to spend more, I would say just from a mindset perspective, think about the fact that there's going to be things, new investment opportunities, and also ways to potentially turn whatever your retirement nest egg into something more. For instance, cryptocurrency didn't always exist, or NFTs didn't always exist. So I would just say, even just be a little bit flexible in thinking about your money and how you can make it stretch a little bit further. That's my personal tidbit of advice that I would share. And you have to be mindful. Obviously, you don't want to lose your nest egg. But if there are ways that you could make your money go a little bit further, try to be open-minded. Exactly. Our son couldn't agree more.
Here we go, yo. So what's the scenario? It's scenario time, guys. Scenario 1. Marco plans to sail around the world, visiting all 7 continents when he is 67 years old. He has saved no money for this future dream. Do you think it is possible for him to achieve this?
So does he have a wealthy benefactor?
No, nothing.
Oh, that's unfortunate. So.
Wow.
So the answer is sadly no.
Okay. This is pretty funny too.
Unless there's something I'm missing. So that's my answer.
This is something you're missing because one of your favorite shows had this already and you didn't even come to mind.
The Office.
No.
Which one?
Even before that, in, Dawson's Creek. Remember Pacey got to sail around and he just got a little thing like that, see?
True, but I mean, but they were not going to pay, someone in their...
See, who's being ages now?
But what I'm saying is, I think that people are more comfortable with paying people who are very comfortable with physical labor. So they're different stages of life where...
Okay, so you can't be a skipper when you're 67? That's what you're saying?
I'm not suggesting that.
Oh, okay.
What I'm suggesting is that there are different stages of life where people embrace physical labor more.
You made too many assumptions here, though. So we don't know how fit Marco is. He might be the most healthiest.
I'm saying that just people automatically don't necessarily offer those opportunities to people at different stages of life, and so to your point, it is possible. So I could be corrected. Yes,
but yeah, it is actually possible though.
Okay.
Scenario 2. Takedra has been frugal with her money. When there's an opportunity to take a fun trip with her friends overseas, she always declines. She has everything budgeted, contributes the max amount of money to her 401k, and never buys anything new. Is Takedra prepared for her retirement?
I think that, in life is a funny way of surprising you. So it's really important to always be working towards being prepared for the preparable things. But ultimately, it sounds like she is on her way to doing a good job of ensuring that she can age and retire as she sees fit. And you?
Yeah, man, I think she's prepared for retirement, but it seems like, I don't know, that kind of life seems a little bit like dull. So I guess I don't know if she should be skipping out on everything. Mm-hmm. Like you should have fun sometimes during your life, because you want to wait maybe she can just years and years until you're older. What if you don't get to enjoy that money?
Maybe she only enjoys doing things that are free. So like someone else.
So going to the food court and picking up the free give out samples they have. Thank you for your sample. I'll come back in an hour for the rest. Yeah. Put on different wigs and masks just to get by. Like this. That's crazy.
Okay, this is downfire.
that's a lot of work for free. That's all I know. That's
and for some people, that might be just the fun she's looking.
That's fun enough. So she gets to dress up when it's not Halloween to get free items. That's very exciting life there.
Exactly.
Very, very, very exciting. And save all their money, and she'll use it when she gets older.
Correct.
She'll get that nice, Corvette, right? And
hopefully the electric version, yes.
Yeah, and she'll be driving around like, look at me now.
Exactly.
She'll say to her friends, look at me now.
Hey, you better play that song. You can't even get in the club now. What you know about that?
See, she can get in the club with her wigs.
All right, keep it moving.
Oh, okay, if you say so. Scenario 3. Ayala knows that she has an inheritance in her future, so has decided it's best to use all the money she has now because of FOMO. Her family thinks she should cut back because it is hedonistic. Is Ayala prepared for her retirement?
So I understand the YOLO situation, and FOMO. However, there's, we have to live past our emotions. We've talked about that on the show before, and definitely always need to find opportunities to discuss this more. But there's more to life than just how you feel right now or what you fear, anything, especially about missing out. So no, we need to work on, thinking not just for how we're going to spend money for today and feel good about these purchases and decisions, but how are you going to feel good about these decisions 20 years from now and 30 years from now and 50 years from now? Because money is, her money's not that long that it doesn't know her, so.
Oh, really? Okay.
Yeah.
Even if she's entitled to something real big where, remember, she says she has that inheritance.
Yeah, but the problem is because of that spending behavior, it threatens that inheritance in and of itself. What if she gets full access to it and blows it all away because she's like, hey, I'll just marry someone rich, right? Like, and it's that's depressing. Because there's a lot of things that could go wrong in that scenario.
That's true. Yeah. It could, yeah. Yeah, I know. I think it's a foolish thing, and it's like that saying goes: a fool and his money is easily departed, or something, or
parted from each other. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's this kind of case. So if she's living lavishly now, when that inheritance comes, she might go even crazier, like you're saying, and it could really mess up. But the question is she prepared for retirement? I mean, technically, she could just stop spending like crazy, and
she could.
She'll have this money in the bank.
But if she doesn't stop, then no.
Yeah, then it could be an issue. She should try to live life, but with
frugally.
Yeah,
a little bit more
with some sort of control in mind.
Absolutely.
I think that would help.
Absolutely. And with that, it looks like we're at that time again. It is coming to the end of our 223rd episode of WokeNFree. Quite the episode asking who is really planning for their retirement. Now, Khalil, what do folks need to do?
What they need to do is what I'll say, like I always say. Come back next week for the new WokeNFree Wednesday episode. Make sure you follow us on social media to follow along in the conversation. And make sure you tune in next week for WokeNFree Wednesday to join the conversation at WokeNFree.com.
Absolutely. Now, if folks want to be a guest on the show, definitely consider submitting your show topic and your story on our Contact Us page at WokeNFree.com. That's WokenFree.com. And I mentioned it earlier in the episode, but for social, you can always find us again on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, TikTok, LinkedIn, Pinterest at WokenFree. And for sponsorships or collaborations, we want to hear from you. Where do you go? Our Contact Us page at WokenFree.com.
If you didn't already subscribe, please do. Share the episode and make sure you come back to join the conversation every Wednesday for WokenFree Wednesdays. Remember, WokenFree is more than a podcast. It is a way of life. Until next time.